Welcome back to the Interior Analysis Podcast. I am your host for this one, Jelani Kelly.
I'm Evan Westman.
I'm David Jones.
And we're talking about a movie that I suggested, shockingly. Tick, Tick, Boom. Now on Netflix. Directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Didn't know he directed it before I watched it. I did watch a good chunk of the credits though. I never do that. But it's because of the song playing at the end. But it's a musical little movie. I think it's an Oscar nominee, right?
Yeah. I think it's up
It
for
is.
Garfield as an actor, and then I think editing, and I'm going to check. I think that's it, though.
When are the Oscars? This weekend? Are they this
I
weekend?
believe so.
Props to this movie.
Yeah, it is just editing and Garfield.
Okay. It did feel very Oscar baity. There's a lot of crying, a lot of drama, just like the Oscars like. So, hoping Garfield wins though. I don't know who else is up. Who's up for Best Actor as well?
I hope it goes to Will Smith.
Okay, well Will Smith over Garfield. I can't go against a black person. So, like
Him and King
legally.
Richard, to anybody who has seen it.
Yeah, I
Bon
saw King
appetit.
Richard. I don't think this for Garfield or King Richard for Will Smith. I don't think it's either of their best performances, but I'm very good with either of them getting an Oscar. Like, they both have earned it at this point.
Will doesn't have an Oscar, right?
I don't think.
Yeah,
I
I'll
don't even
need
know
to give him one.
How much has he even
If
been
he doesn't
nominated
have one,
for?
he's gonna get an honorary one pretty soon. He's done too much.
Yeah.
Like King Richard should be like, you know how Leo has done a bunch of movies and he never won Oscars, but they like gave him one for The Revenant, even though that wasn't his best performance. Like they should. Willie Smith.
Yeah.
You know?
The Oscars isn't always good at like predicting what's actually gonna be like nobody's talking about the King's speech 10 years later, but I guess people were at the time. So he's up against I'm just looking up. He's up against Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Javier Bardem, and Benedict Cumberbatch.
What did Washington do?
Tragedy of Macbeth.
Did not know that was a movie. Did you know it's pronounced Denzel?
What?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. On the,
It's
I think it was
Denzel Washington.
on the. I think it was. He said it on the Graham Norton show. I think because I recognize that orange and pink background anywhere. It's Denzel Washington.
And does he prefer that over Denzel?
I don't know. I just saw the clip and I was like, cool. I'm still gonna
I'm
call
never
you
calling him
Denzel.
Definitely Denzel Washington.
I mean, I don't know if he cares though, because it's the first time I'm hearing of it. So
Yeah,
he
he's
would've- I
had a
feel like he
long
would've
time to
corrected
correct people.
somebody. Yeah. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, I have to either go Denzel or Will, because I'm being black. I don't think I'm legally allowed to go against black actors when they're up for Oscars, especially considering how little black people have won at the Oscars. Definitely one of them. Does Washington has a Oscar, right, for
He
Training
must
Day?
at this point. He's got to
Training
have
Day.
at least one.
I think he has one for Training
Oh,
Day.
yeah.
He has
one.
two. He has two.
Okay.
I'm checking for what.
What was the second? Yeah,
Yeah, Training Day and Glory.
Glory.
And he's got like 7 other nominations.
Great. So he
other
won
stuff.
for the time he played a person that got whipped in Revolutionary War, where they put black people at the front line.
Is that
and
what
all
it is? I've never seen Glory.
Yep, unfortunately. And the other one is where he's playing a corrupt, thuggish cop. Cool. Thanks, Oscars. Let's see. What were we talking about? Oh,
Tick, Tick,
Oscars.
Boom.
This movie, it was mid. I'll get into that. I didn't write much, but I was just about to rant before we started recording, and Evan stopped me. He was like, "Save it for the podcast." And I was like, "You're right. That's content."
That is what we're here for.
Content.
So, initial reactions. Either one of you, just go ahead. Go.
I'll go. My initial reaction was
No. Oh man. When he got to the workshop, and I was like, all right, this is it. This is what he's been talking about for the past, I don't even know, because Netflix doesn't tell you.
And then after I got through that, and I was like, holy shit, I have an hour and 20 left. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I rechecked again, and I had like 40 minutes left, and then I had 20 minutes left. I was constantly rechecking, which means I'm not into it. And I tried to look for silver linings. Like, I was like, okay, like, it's a cute kind of message. Like, when his agent's like, And he's like, "What do I do, Rosa?" or whatever her name is. And she's like, "You keep writing." I'm like, "Okay, this is cute. Like, we love that." Boosted the old morale. And then like all the stuff at the end with his old roommate and him getting HIV, it just felt so weirdly out of place. And I was like, "What is this movie?" Yeah, that was my whole initial reaction, I think.
Yeah.
So before I get into my initial reactions, just the couple things that, like the minimal knowledge I had beforehand. I have never seen Rent. I know a few songs of it. Most of my knowledge comes from Lindsay Ellis's video on it, which does not paint it in a terribly favorable light. So that I tried not to take that into this, but it was a form of knowledge. And then, like a few weeks ago, I saw somebody sing, or I guess two people sing Therapy at a cabaret that I had a few friends in.
Which one is that? Which scene?
I have a problem that you'd have a problem. That one.
Oh, that was, oh my God, I wanted to mute there. That song was so stupid.
I want to get into it a little bit because I thought the way they did that scene was interesting, and I have a feeling that it's not the way they do it in the musical. Somebody, if you know, please tell us if you have seen the musical, like tell us if it's different here, because I would be interested to know.
That was the one with Garfield and Hudgens, right? And they were just sitting on the stools, and it was the breakup.
Kind of do like a bing bang, and there was the lighting, and
that was cringy, man.
But I think that's the point, right?
That was gross.
You're supposed to be like, oh my God, like, because they're so like perpetually forcing it. I will say I enjoyed the rhyme schemes in that song. Like, I'm a fan of Sondheim where you can make the same like 7 rhymes out of like the word purpose and like have it be really cool and reveal character. And some of the songs did that.
Those are bars. Those are called bars, David.
Yes.
Love
me a bar.
Lil Wayne does it all.
And the multiple of them. Bars. But I don't recall many of them from this movie.
Yeah, I gotta say the songs didn't stick with me like immediately after. I've listened to the songs a couple times in the past few days just to refresh, but none of them, aside from Therapy, really stuck with me. And that was I only remembered that one because it was the only one I'd heard before. It's not like terrible, but it's not a great sign. Yeah, like both of you, yeah, I'd say this is mid-tier. Nothing really bad stood out, but nothing really good either.
I feel like those be the worst movies to talk about, though, because I don't feel strongly either way about it.
I think there's still stuff that's interesting to talk about with it, but yeah, I don't feel terribly strongly about it. What I do appreciate is that it does feel like it comes from a pretty honest place, and even if it doesn't always work for me, like, that does count for a lot, I think.
I agree. Most of my enjoyment was derived from the fact that I knew Lin-Manuel was the director, so he was coming from this at like a first-hand kind of POV, and he knows what it's like to be a struggling musical theater writer trying to get a deadline or get in to see somebody who's kind of been in the business. And those are the moments in the directing that I enjoyed it. So I really give most of my enjoyment to the directing. I'm not sure if I had seen the original piece of work, the one-man rock monologue that is Jonathan Larson, like at a keyboard, like yelling and like running kind of insanely between different instruments and portraying all these different characters, because apparently it's only 3 people. Like, the original is just 3 actors playing like 30 different characters.
Oh boy.
And I feel like that would be a lot.
Yeah.
And kind of like overwhelming. So I understand how Lin probably had a lot to undertake when he came to thinning out the songs and trying to pull a thematic thread through an otherwise like abstract character study. But it was fine. It's definitely a movie that I feel like you could lose 30 to 40 minutes and it would be probably better, because it's just, it feels long, like, and it's not long, but it feels so long.
It's 2 hours.
Right? Like, I shouldn't be feeling like I just watched like Lord of the Rings extended edition during your 2-hour movie.
I didn't think it felt that long, but it definitely could have been shorter.
No, it did, and I've never seen Lord of the Rings. But
it felt like 4 hours to me. Like, it felt like I watched Peter Jackson and they just gave him his full extra hour, and I was like, wow.
I thought I'd be more invested because writing, and that's what the trailer got me, man. I had no idea how people went about writing musicals again, I said the trailer got me because I thought I'd relate to John, feel like he's run out of time, which I kind of did. And there was the tick theme, and you know, I didn't. I don't feel strongly either way. It was just mid, man. I thought I expected more from it. I expected to like at least one song. I mean, the "Come to Your Senses" song was cool, but that's because of the emotional weight behind it. It's not a bop though. Like I'm not finna add that to the playlist. I'm not adding any of these, especially that. Is there like an anti-playlist I can add that that therapy song to? Because my God, did I hate that. And the diner one, that was so pointless.
The diner one was not great. 3090 is, I thought, 3090 is okay. That's like the closest to a banger that they get.
If that. Oh boy. We don't have that many topics. We're probably going to keep this podcast shorter than the movie. So let's just jump into movie musicals and adaptation. Again, I didn't like any of the songs. Come to Your Senses was cool. Growing up, I never really cared for musicals. Only thing that can be redeeming about them for me is if I can find a song that I listen to like on its own. So a lot of Disney stuff, really, like Make a Man. Everybody loves that song.
Yo, that is the best musical song ever.
Okay, let's calm down. I've never seen The Greatest Showman, but I have like 3 songs from that. I mean, I'm kind of with Evan on Make a Man, but Lion King has a lot of slaps too, because it's black people singing, I think. So that'll do it.
I think is really important there.
Elton John covers.
It was 1990s Disney with a score by a white British man.
Oh boy.
Elton John has good covers for Lion King, though.
It wasn't him singing all the songs though. Like
not in the movie, but he has some great covers of them.
The Circle of Life song.
He
that
wrote
one,
them, so he has the right to cover them.
He wrote Circle of Life.
He did the whole thing.
Oh my God! What? But the African language.
Oh, that's not him. I don't think.
He's not singing, but he did the music for Lion King, and then he also was the one who brought it to Broadway. Him and Tim Rice.
Life is a lie. I mean, I guess that's Disney though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're just listening to my dreams being shattered. What else do we have for music?
Well, one thing that I kind of said this already, but I wonder if they changed. They might have done this with multiple songs. I could feel with Therapy, like where it's intercutting between him performing the song and then the argument between him and Susan. And I was thinking, like, that doesn't feel like something that would work on stage. I'm going to guess that was added. Again, if somebody knows, please let us know. I thought that was kind of a nice use of adapting from stage to screen. This is a conversation I've had with a couple of actor friends over the past, like, few months occasionally, is just, like, when does stuff work on stage versus in a movie? I found a Letterboxd list that I'll link to that's just all, let me double check, films that were made into Broadway musicals. So stuff that was first a movie and then they made a show out of it, not the other way around. A lot of them are stuff that's a musical in the movie, like Mary Poppins, or like any Disney thing, like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid. Like, obviously those are all musicals.
Lion King,
yeah. But then some of them, many of them are just regular non-musical movies that they turned into musicals. Some of them are really surprising. Devil Wears Prada apparently is a musical. I didn't know that. Mrs. Doubtfire, I remember a friend told me about that.
I'm going to see Mrs. Doubtfire. I can't wait. I could name a few other weird ones. Legally Blonde. How about that? That's it. Legally Blonde's a killer musical. Shrek the Musical. Shrek the Musical is my favorite. It's on Netflix. Everyone give it a watch.
Oh, I might have to check that out. I haven't.
It's actually really good. It's super underrated. What's another good one? Hairspray, iconic. Hairspray was a comedy, then they made it to a musical.
Recent episode for us, Beetlejuice is.
Beetlejuice.
I think we brought that up. One of us.
SpongeBob, School of Rock.
Oh yeah, I've seen School of Rock.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, one that I have not seen, but it's one of my favorite movies. Amelie is a musical, and it's not as a movie, but I've listened to the soundtrack of that, or like the whatever, all the songs from it. I would be interested to see, because I feel like that's a good one to adapt into a musical. Have either of you seen Amelie?
No.
Okay, independent of this, because we already did an episode on it.
Nah.
It's really well.
I want to see it. I know it's like the famous shot of that one girl, and she looks like real up close in the thing.
I hate it. I don't
She's
want
like
to see
pale.
it.
She has a black bob. She's giving you those eyes with a red lip.
Yeah, they
I don't
make
like it.
Audrey Tautou look really weird on the poster for some reason, to the point that it almost looks like it's a horror movie, but it very much is not.
It might make me watch it if it was.
That'd be cool if she just killed people.
Yeah. Something tells me somebody has recut a trailer of Amelie to make it a horror movie. I bet that exists. In terms of musicals, like, that movie does a lot
American Psycho?
Yeah,
Oh,
American
yeah, that was
Psycho
a-
has one.
I bet that's a weird-ass musical.
Another weird one is Young Frankenstein, the Mel Brooks movie. That was a very weird musical.
For Amelie, I feel like it makes sense to translate that from screen to stage. Like, it uses film language in some really interesting ways. I like to compare it to Scott Pilgrim in how it uses, like, certain special effects and stuff to show how characters are feeling. But it doesn't really exist in, like some of the stuff that you see isn't literally happening, which works well for, like, songs. Because a lot of times, like, I guess it sort of depends on the musical, but a lot of times songs aren't, like, obviously the character isn't literally singing. They're just feeling, and they're expressing it through song. This was I don't think it's his original quote, but I have a friend who likes to say, like, in terms of singing in musicals, he likes to say when the emotion becomes too strong for speech, you sing, and if it becomes too strong for song, you dance. I haven't really engaged with that at all in my own work because I can't really sing or dance, but I think it's an interesting, like, approach to writing a musical thing. I don't know if either of you have thoughts on that, but
That is like it's a traditional theater saying, because, like, really when it comes down to it, all the best of the best is, at least in works of literature, fiction, or storytelling, is how are we revealing the character. And with plays, we can reveal them through dialogue, because that's what we have at our disposal the most. That's why those margins are like that. And with movies, we can reveal it visually, and that's why action margins are like that. And musicals are way in through characters, through song. And I can see the dance analogy. I also think some people are just, like, they're born dancers. So, like, when they go and they take to the stage, it's like, well, which are you better at? Okay, you're gonna show this character off through dance, cool. But I can see that, and I do think that's, like, a nice way to look at it, because at the end of the day, like, the best songs in musical theater history are definitely the most character revealing, and usually the most vulnerable moments for the characters.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a super extensive knowledge of musical theater, but I think I'd agree with that. It's just a really simple way of, like, showing how a character's feeling. Sometimes it's kind of cheap, but, like, it does work. Where I think it gets complicated, and I don't know how much we want to get into this, but there's a conflict that comes up when you put a song, like an emotional song like that, in a movie. Because on stage, you can't really see an actor's face that well. Or at least you can't guarantee it. If you're pretty close, yeah. But if you're...
Bring some binoculars.
Yeah, and most people don't. So you kind of have to be bigger when you're on stage to express that emotion, like in a song or, just larger body language. But you can communicate so much emotion in one close-up. And I feel like there's something that becomes a problem when you're trying to express your biggest emotion in a song where we can see the actor's face the whole time, and because they're singing, they're not necessarily emoting with their face the way that maybe they would if you were just, like, playing their reaction to X moment in real time. I don't know if there's like a lesson to take from that, but I feel like it is a mix of mediums that like it's a place where problems can come up.
I definitely do think it comes down to a question of the medium, and it's like with theater, you have to be bigger. You have your whole body that people are looking at. You don't have the privilege to know, okay, this shot is going to just be a close up, so all I need is to show everything in my face. You have to kind of constantly be on, you're singing live, you're dancing live, you're reacting live in real time to any counterpart. You have a certain amount of space. If you walk out of frame when you're filming, you could just call cut and walk back into your frame. If you walk too far off the stage and there's no more stage, you fall into the pit. So there's a whole different reality there. You have to play to a live audience. It's not just a camera. So you kind of have to remember, if you're going to be on stage, there's the 3/4 rule, different things that you just have to have when you're on, and theater forces that. And movies don't, and I think that's why a lot of movie musicals kind of fail, in my opinion, as someone who likes musicals. And it's sad, but I don't know what the answer really is, because I don't know that many movie musicals that really, really get it. I can think of like one that's like a real live person one, like the other ones are like Disney animated, so then that's like a whole different conversation.
What's the one?
Like Hairspray, but I feel like that only works because it originally was a movie, so it's not that hard to kind of translate the 3-act structure back into it.
I saw Hairspray for like a class. I think it was a musical class. That like, I call it new, but the more recent Hairspray is like a film that was turned into a play back into a film.
Yeah, so originally was a film in the 80s, and it's a John Waters film, and it's super satire, campy, comedy. There's no music in it. And Edna was always played by a man, and that was originally Divine. And then in 2002, it got turned into a musical, and that is when they added the music into it, and Harvey Fierstein played Edna Turnblad. And then in like 2006, 2007, they made a movie musical out of the musical that was based off the movie, and John Travolta played Edna Turnblad. So it's always kind of been a tradition that a man plays the woman or the mom in that role.
Why?
It's part of the camp shtick. Like, it makes more sense when you look at the original source material. Like, I'm not defending the John Travolta one. Like, it's a lot. But the original, like, Divine John Waters 80s satire, it made more sense. It's all about the standards of beauty and what that does to teenage girls, and even how that affects women in 1960s America.
Welcome
and it's
to
actually
the 60s.
Pretty good.
That's the only thing I know from that.
And the musical's good too. The movie musical, though,
Welcome to
that
the
definitely
60s.
was a thing.
It did exist. It does
did.
exist. That people put work into that.
But I think my issue with Tick Tick Boom the most, as far as an adaptation, is my favorite moments, because like we're saying, okay, how are we going to reveal the character? Because that's really what this comes down to. And the moments where Lin kind of merged musical with a movie, like the moment I can think of is at the party when John just goes into like his song and he goes like bo 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 bo, and he just gets everyone to sing. That felt good because I
did like that one.
It revealed the character musically, which checks that box, and it's not telling us, it's not over narration. We're in the scene, it's showing us, it's being shot in this kind of like smooth handheld steady cam way that it feels like we're in the party, so it works thematically as well. And I was just like, okay, this I can get into. But the moments where, like, I guess it's nominated for editing because of this cross-cutting, but the moments where it would cross-cut between like John, which wasn't really John, but Andrew Garfield as John performing the one-man rock monologue, Tick Tick Boom, but when we would see the songs that he would actually had been performing in real life, we would see it as a movie. That like tripped me up. I wish we just kind of left it as the movie. Like, I didn't need to see the like fake version of what actually happened.
Like him on stage.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, I just didn't really like it, because I didn't, like I said, I don't think if in New York in the 90s and I saw Jonathan Larson's one-man rock monologue and 3 characters are running over like an Egyptian rug for 3 hours while they play 72 different characters, and it's just like vignettes of sadness, I don't think I would enjoy myself.
Michael was the best character.
Yeah, is that
Agreed.
his friend?
Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt. Good acting as well. He did good.
Fantastic. I felt for him when he revealed he had HIV. I was like, damn, bro, that's...
And he still showed up.
Yeah,
and, like,
after
didn't
they
even, like,
just
ask for an
fought
apology
and
or like pull anything over. He was just like,
real one.
right?
Real
I was
one.
like, this is good.
I like that he
Real.
calls out like a lot of John's, like, I don't know if I want to call it privilege. I think some of it's privilege, but some of it's just kind of
selfishness.
Yeah, because I didn't like John that much as a character, but I found him a lot more palatable because Michael and Susan and maybe a couple other characters called out sometimes, like when Michael got his new job and John's like, "Oh, you're selling out, like, come on," and Michael like turns on him and says something like, "Can you just be happy for me that I'm doing this? Like, I have a steady job. Why are you mad?" I was fully on Michael's side there, and I feel like without that, I would have really not been able to, like, I don't know if it's fair to say that I rooted for John. I think minus that, I might have just kind of lost that thread altogether. I think definitely if somebody other than Andrew Garfield played him, it would have been much harder to sell me. Because, like, pretty much it was just, like, Andrew Garfield's amazing charisma that kept me on the hook at all.
My scene that really allowed for me to still be able to handle him was the Susan scene where she comes to see like the rehearsal and she's like, "Can we just talk for like a couple minutes? Like, can you just call like a break for 5 minutes?" And he was like, "I don't take breaks. I don't know."
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Really?" And then he was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, okay, go work on the song." And then he turned around and then when he turned back, she wasn't there. I was like, thank God, because like, he's just such an asshole.
Yeah. And, like, it's too bad, because I want to like Andrew Garfield. And I do like Andrew Garfield in this.
No, I
but
agree.
I
I
kind of
think
hate John.
his phenomenal acting and his just like boyish charm allows for you to kind of be like, "Oh, John, you're going through it. You're not a good person, but you're going through it." So it's good because I did sit through almost the whole 2 hours of this movie, but he is a rough human being.
Yeah. I hate to say it, like, I feel like there's a number of things that he does that I definitely am guilty of in, like, a creative way. Like, I don't know if this transitions us too much into the next topic, but, like, when he's in the the room with the advertising focus group, like, I've been that asshole in the classroom that's like, "Oh, I'm, like, so above this. Like, nobody else in here can write anything." And I hate that. I
believe that.
that guy. So, like, in a way, I get it when he's there, but I also don't sympathize because it's a dick move. It's hard for me to be on his side. So I think part of it is just, like, hating stuff that I've done that he's also doing. I just wonder, like, how much the movie wants us to sympathize with him at various points. Because I think, like, there are places where it's critical of him. Like, when his creativeness is eating away at his relationship with Susan and Michael, there I think we're, like, it's being critical of him. It's saying, like, no, that's too much, you're being selfish. But at other points, like, the advertising focus group, when he's, like, coming up with his lines, first of all, I was like, it's not, like, that great of a line. Like, calm down, everyone. But I was wondering, like, does the movie want us to think, like, whoa, he, like, really can write? And I can't quite tell.
Right, what?
Like, when he comes up with, like, those slogans or whatever for in the ad meeting, and everyone's, like, wowed by it. Like, are we as the audience also supposed to be wowed?
I was kind of cracking up at that scene.
My experience with that was like, because I agree, there's a lot, because I think Lin is making this in some sense autobiographically from his own experience. There's a lot of what if being a writer, if you try to do this even semi-professionally, you can relate to a lot of what he's going through. And that was a moment where like I've been in internships and, you know, dare I say college classes where I would say the most like English 101 high school, what is the meaning of the red dress type bullshit. And they were just like, oh, chip, chip, cheerio. Here you go. Claps all around. You're so good. And you just are like, wow, I could do this forever. But also no, because this is disgusting. And like, I don't ever want that. And that was the moment I got for him where he was like, yeah, this is not the company I will be selling my soul for. So thank you. Goodbye.
I like the swimming scene.
Yeah, the swimming scene was cool.
I just, well, really just the reveal at the bottom where he comes up with the song, the 30, and then the musical notes along the thing, and then they pan out. That was cool.
I like that too, because it was like, it utilizes everything that you can with this being cinema and not theater, and then it also pays homage to previous like classical musical times of the Hollywoods where people would swim and do weird shit in water in unison, and people loved it in the 30s and 40s, and that's like the vibe I got. I was like, okay,
like the synchronized swimming.
Yeah, especially with some of the overhead shots and everything. I was like, okay, he's definitely, Lin knows what he's doing from a directing standpoint right now. And Hollywood, to speak of the Oscars, loves to talk about themselves. So it's like whenever they can see like, oh, look, we brought another one up. Look at that. Look what we did. They'll nominate. They love that.
I kind of just want to, we'll come back to movie and musicals and adaptation if there's anything else for it, but let's smoothly transition to how it portrays the writing / creative process. For me, this is not entirely accurate to how I go about it. And I heard you guys talking about how much John was a jerk and all that, and like that's cool, but like in a messed up way, it makes me wish I kind of obsessed over my work more, because it doesn't feel like I do enough when it comes to writing or anything else I'm trying or diving into in the entertainment industry, like acting or modeling or anything. Because genius stuff it seems to come out of obsessing over art, your own art, and trying to get it perfect and all that, even though it, like, I think it has a bad track record of destroying lives. I just wish, it just makes me wish I went a little harder. Like, you saw how often he was writing all the time, and I don't think I've even written anything towards what I'm supposed to be writing this week at all yet. So I kind of use it as an effed up way, as like inspiration to go hard, but not try to detach myself from every living human being I've met.
Well, that's good, because I think like definitely don't look, and anyone listening, don't look to Jonathan Larson and his writing techniques as inspiration, because they're toxic. Like, and that's kind of the whole thing he learns, and he has to live to become a good writer, and you have to do it in unison, and that's just kind of how it goes. If he's gonna obsess, he could write all day, but he's even procrastinating on his work, and like that's something all writers do. And it's like that his one guy says, he's like, well, you wrote a whole song about sugar or whatever, why can't you write the song for your character? Like, we have a workshop in 3 days, and he's just stressing out, and he's not able to handle his own issues, and he can't get his work done. Real quick,
that Ira guy, I thought that was Jake Gyllenhaal in like heavy makeup.
The dude with the mustache?
Yep.
Wow.
I thought that was, I was like, is he doing a different voice? And he's like in like a lot of makeup.
That would have been a weird cameo.
It would have.
Wild.
I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda cameoed in this. I mean, he directed it, but he was also a cook in the kitchen. And he said something, was it Spanish? I want to say it was Spanish.
There were a lot of cameos in this. A lot.
Bradley Whitford as Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah. He was the racist dad in Get Out.
He was. And he was in The West Wing.
I didn't see The West Wing. Is there something about the president?
Yeah, it's a Sorkin show.
Be in The West Wing. It was a different time, though. It was when, like, there was optimism in politics.
Yeah, I don't think I can watch, like, I love Sorkin, but I don't think I can watch The West Wing.
Oh, he wrote that? I'm good.
Yeah. I'm gonna sell you on Sorkin to some extent someday.
It's gonna probably be The Social Network.
I
it's hard
really
to
think
not
you're gonna like The Social Network.
You guys gotta stop hyping it up, otherwise
I'm
I'm
not
just
hyping
gonna.
it. I'm just telling. Like, I'm not the biggest Sorkin or Fincher guy, but like, I enjoyed that movie. I can't say when I watched it I did not have a good time.
I'm gonna see it as mid. If there's not explosions and stuff and Batman and Superman teaming up, whereas Martha, by the end of it, Andrew Garfield fighting Spider-Man fighting Lex Luthor, you know?
Yep.
Okay, you're not gonna like The Social Network.
Unless that computer smash at the end really does it for you. Like, yeah.
It is pretty satisfying to see that, like the keys coming off and all that. What?
Writing
Okay.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to go off of, like, some of what you were saying, like, I think David said something to this effect. I think it's fine that you don't, like, obsess over your work. I've only heard of that leading to just disaster and not even really leading to good art. I don't think I've ever done my best work under heavy stress. And maybe that's just me. Maybe other people are different with that, but I really don't see any point in, like, glorifying intense struggle for being creative.
But doesn't it give that much more life when you do get it, when you figure it out? Doesn't it feel rewarding? I don't know. I can't speak from experience just yet.
Personally, I don't think it's usually worth it. Like, there's definitely, like, you can't just give up when it gets hard. Like, I'm not advocating for that. Some days you really do have to struggle through with it, but, like, if you're obsessing over it every minute of the day, no, that's not great. And one thing I did kind of like about this is how much we see him not necessarily procrastinating, but, like, the swimming scene. He has to step away from his work to get the breakthrough he's looking for. And I think
You beat writer's block.
Yeah, some days I've had that in the past where I'm just like, I really, like, there's some issue with whatever I'm writing and I'm just like, I don't know how to get this, and I sit there for an hour and get nowhere. By the end of it, I'm just like, I'm no closer to getting this than I was when I sat down. But then maybe the next day I'll take 5 minutes of sitting down and I just get it. It's like, oh, there it is. That's the solution to that thing. Or it'll come like a week later when I'm just doing something totally different, when I'm, like, at work, or I don't know, anything. Like, I liked that part of the process was shown. Like, yes, there is value in sitting down and, like, just getting the work done. Obviously, you have to do that. But also, like, taking a step away is a valuable thing to do. There's a reason people sometimes say they get their best ideas in the shower. Sometimes your brain is kind of at its best when you're doing something different.
Mine be when I'm trying to sleep, and that be the most annoying thing. Like, I just get an overflow of, I wasn't thinking about writing the whole day, and then all of a sudden my brain was like, you know what would be a good idea? This. And then it just keeps coming. I'm trying to sleep, and I got to keep opening my phone to write these notes down for later so I don't forget them. And I hate that. Sometimes I lose sleep because of that, and that's not good.
I've definitely had that, though.
It happens more often for me when I'm trying to sleep than when I'm in the shower. But it does happen when I'm in the shower.
I get ideas when I'm driving. That's, like, my go-to.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I need to be alone, though. Alone in a car listening to music. It's just like, boom. If there's other people there, vibes messed up.
Yeah, that's when you kick them out the car when you're going 60 miles an hour.
Like, that's what I'm saying. So I would have been like, get out. I got it later. You gotta
get out of the car.
Like, it's 14 miles and it's freezing. And it's
I just got the song.
I gotta go. Another aspect of the movie when it came to writing and the relationship professional writers have with writing that I enjoyed was he gets close, but he doesn't get it. He gets Rocky Balboa. Like, he gets the opening, he gets the workshop, he even gets Sondheim's approval, but he doesn't sell. He doesn't, at the end of the day, economically, physically, he moves nowhere. Everything changes internally, And I like whatever for that, but I did like that reality because that's just the reality of being a writer. If he sold there, it would have been so like, okay,
I mean, they were trying to tell him from the beginning, but as an artist, you kind of want to, you have to believe in your own work first before anybody else does. But if nobody's believing in your work after you do, there might be an issue there. You might have wanted to take note of that. But yeah, I mean, it took 2 more plays for it to go boom, so to speak. But he did get there. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see. He didn't win until he won with Rent. You pay your rent is the title. I don't know where I'm going.
have either of you seen Rent?
No.
I know it has kind of a mixed reputation.
I know the 500,000 song.
Okay, I've seen only the movie version, and like I can see there's obviously some stuff Lynn's playing too, which is like cute, but I don't know. Rent's fine.
I
do
knew
think
enough
it gets
about
a
it to
little-
know that like there were a couple allusions to it, like
Yeah,
some of the stuff
How
about
about-
literally paying rent. I was like, oh yeah, that comes up in Rent.
yeah, that's one of the first songs.
How about? I don't know any other song from it.
Yeah, but
But
now you
yeah,
know how many minutes are in a year. So
And like Jonathan's whole relationship with Michael and Michael's relationship with HIV, that's very
Right.
prominent in Rent. But it's and I've read online that some people say Maureen from Rent is supposed to be Susan, which is interesting. Well, it was a mix of Susan and whoever Vanessa Hudgens plays. And I thought that was
Caressa?
interesting. Yeah, I was like, interesting.
Caressa
think-
and Vanessa. Sorry.
I didn't think her character really had much of a character.
Nope.
Okay.
I didn't know she had a name until he said it.
yeah, she's
More than
remind
halfway
me,
through the
she's
movie.
just the one who sings alongside him in the performance, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the only time she really ever speaks is like towards the end, and she's like, "Can I see the song?" And he's like, "Later."
Hey, boy, genius.
Yeah,
She sung more than she
you're
spoke.
killing me, Larson. Yeah, she did sing more than anything else. So that's why I was surprised that she was compared to Maureen, because Maureen has a very bombastic personality in Rent. But yeah, I don't know. I think people are really forcing the narrative because Rent is so famous and so in the zeitgeist, and people just love to have those connections, and they want to force that all the way. But like, I don't think it's that deep as some people are making it out to be, which is fine because I don't think Rent is really as good as it has been glorified to, which is that's musical theater. Cats, not really the best show ever.
No,
But it was the
it
longest
is
running
not.
show for a while.
Why?
I don't know. And now Phantom's the longest running show. And don't get me wrong, Phantom is a good show, but the longest running show, really?
Now the
Interesting.
Cats movie. Now we're
Oh.
talking.
Oh God.
Cats might have the most memorable character names out of anything. I think it does win that award.
The
Rum
Stopheles
Tongue
guy.
Tugger is kind of hard to beat.
That one. Who else you
McCavity.
got? McCavity.
Actually,
Yeah.
those are the only two that I
There's the
know.
old sad one who sings Memory. I used to know her name.
The thing Rosa says about writing the next one, you guys, David specifically said that was like cute. I found that depressing. It was like,
But that's real.
like the fact that you can't even like, it doesn't seem like you can revel in what you've made just makes me. I said makes me dislike, and then I couldn't finish the thought. Not dislike writing, but dislike, I guess, that aspect of writing or selling your writing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'd want to be attached to projects while also writing the next one. So I'm still like reveling in my previous work, which is why as like selling stuff, I'd want to be a showrunner perhaps, or something. Like, as long as I'm involved in the process of what I sell, I'm cool with that. But like writing and selling and then moving on to the next, like, where's the fun in that? Like, writing's cool, and I have fun writing, but like I also want to see everything behind the scenes of how it gets made, because I wrote it. I don't want to view it as an audience member.
Yeah, but to that point, he doesn't sell.
Yes, but I'm talking about me when I'm doing.
Yeah, I know, but that's why it's like, if he did sell, I think it would be more, you would see that more inspirational, him reveling in it. But like, when you don't sell, yeah, You just gotta pull yourself up and go to the next. Because
Dude.
the reality of any writer is like, no one's asking you to be a writer
Yeah. Well, until they are.
until
Like,
they
until
are.
you're getting hired to do stuff. But before that, you
Until
have
you
to
have
be
such
doing
a
it unpaid.
reputation that people are banging down your door for like just stupid reasons. There's a really kind of awkward in between stage there. And for any new writer, anyone more our level that's aspiring to break into a professional mold, no one's asking us to be writers. There are plenty of people who are trying to get into those rooms. Like, no one is begging us. No one's like, please, we need David, Evan, and Jelani stories, and or else the world will not be sane. So like, it is kind of just a reality where either they're in it or they're not. And when they're not into it, you just kind of have to keep going and try to figure out what's gonna hopefully sell or get some form of traction. So then you have leverage, so people will come to you and say, I saw you did this, so would you want to do this?
And then that's when you get meta and make a story about how you couldn't sell your stories.
Yes, like
and
adaptation.
Yeah.
And then it gets strange to the point where you like the character that's like a stand-in for you like starts killing the producers that like rejected them. Like
That would have been cool if like it got that weird.
yeah, like a revenge thing.
Just
and then
anything interesting, honestly.
no producers rejected me yet, so I didn't have a reason to say any of that. But I'm saying like
Yeah,
rejection's a part of the industry, so
definitely.
best to get used to it. It's gonna feel personal. Like people say I feel like some people might say like rejections get like easier over time. It don't. It actually starts getting worse the more they happen. Well, it's for me, but I feel like that a lot of people feel that way, but might not admit it. And it's gonna feel personal because you wrote or did whatever you did, and that person was just like, well, this isn't good enough for me. So it'd be like that, but it's just you gotta keep going, not necessarily move on to the next thing because maybe you will find somebody that likes it, but don't stay stuck in that.
I think one, like, I'm not going to say it's the solution to it, but one thing that I've found very good for, like, just being creative consistently is, find projects that you care about, that you're willing to go back and do every day, or at least most days, like something that actually interests you. And I think that can be a danger. Like sometimes I'll hear people say like, I want to write something that's definitely going to sell. It's so commercial and like this is exactly what the industry is looking for. And I feel like every story I hear about that ends with, yeah, it turned out the industry moved on a couple of years later, or nope, they didn't actually want that, or like the thing that I wrote that was really personal turned out to be the thing they were actually interested in.
Right, what you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's better to write the thing that like is personal to you, and hopefully that is the thing that is going to sell, because anyone out there can try to follow a trend. Everyone out there is trying to follow the trends, but I don't know, maybe try to write Get Out instead of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Because that one's already on the way, so you might want to try 4, but Get Out, yep, that's cool.
Right. Well, just as the example, like I'm just trying to make a comparison between
know.
like the thing that is a repeat of what's been done versus something that nobody was doing and then changed the industry completely.
What happened to zombies, man? I feel like there was like a really short period where like people were doing like Greek gods and stuff, and then zombies like blew up for like a couple years, and now it's just been superheroes since Marvel.
Well, they've tried bringing them back, but it's been in the form of Army of the Dead and Gods of Egypt, so
Oh boy.
not a whole lot of success.
Oh no.
Just one thing that you guys kind of alluded to, or some of us have throughout all of this, is like the relationship between ego and writing. I feel like it's sort of a weird balance. Like I mentioned before, like how I don't like how much of a dick John is at some points, and like how I kind of have tried to fight that in like that urge in myself to be like a dick about being creative. I think when you're writing something, like it's good to try to take your ego out of the equation. I think it's healthier to do that, both for your work and yourself. But at the same time, like, you want to write something that you think is meaningful to other people, and it can be really hard to know when you're just kind of being arrogant about that and just like, oh yes, my vision, like, people need to see it, versus like, I actually have something good here. Because in both cases, like, you're thinking like the thought you're getting to is people can get something out of what I have made. But like, it's a difficult balance, I think, to be able to say that and not have your ego be too much in that equation. I feel like that comes up in Tick Tick Boom a bit. Like, John definitely has an ego and an arrogance about him. I got like pretty annoyed when I think it's in like, the second song. He goes, like, some guy's like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I am the future of musical theater." I was like, all right, pump your brakes, dude.
Yeah.
It's just,
But
it's such a pretentious thing to say.
Have we not all met someone like that? Because I have.
I probably have.
I might have blocked them out of my memory.
At certain points, I might have come off like that. I hate to say that, but it's probably true. Probably. Why did I come off like that when you met me?
No, not at all. But the stories I'm hearing from classes I didn't have with you, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have any classes with me sophomore year. Sophomore year was the worst for that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Very last thing. John never throws a wadded up piece of paper into an overflowing garbage can in this movie, so he's canceled and he's not a real writer because he never does that.
That's the staple of every writer, for every movie with the writer.
Yep.
So that, you know what? I don't like this movie anymore because of that.
I actually really appreciated that he didn't do that, but I was like, oh, he never did that. Uh-oh.
Where was the For You song? And I would do it for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we didn't have a skateboarding montage for him.
Jeans commercial in the middle of the movie. I'm sorry, these are all Spider-Man references.
Our next episodes are going to be Parasite and Shrek 2. Ooh. Yeah, check out our YouTube channel. We have our Patreon for $1 a month. If you liked our conversation today, probably check out also on Patreon our early writing experiences episode. We talk about some like similar things on that. Our merchandise is on Zazzle. Our logo's by Kelsey Hendry. The show is on Twitter at INTAnalysis18. I'm on Twitter at Ev_Wes. And where are both of you at?
I'm on Instagram at Jelani T. Kelly. Twitter at Jelani T. Kelly. YouTube at Base Phoenix. And if you're interested in hiring your boy for an acting role, I just landed my first acting thing today. So.
Oh yeah, and check out the skits. Some really good skits on Base Phoenix YouTube.
Hit your boy up. I gotta do the next one. Oh boy.
The job interview one is a little too relatable.
Oh,
in a good way, but it's a little too relatable.
That was the point. Relatability sells shares. Gives. Go ahead, David.
Find me at Interior Analysis on YouTube.
Do find him there.
Make sure you give us that $1 a month. I'm sure you give more to those streaming companies. So that Patreon $1 a month thing, we keep talking about these live watch longs. Y'all gonna want to be there for that. You never know when it's gonna drop because these episodes come out days later. So make sure you're subscribed to that.
Yeah. Until next time, sing when it's too strong for dancing or whatever the saying was.
What?
I don't know. I was trying to find a button to put on it. Somebody else.
No, I had
better.
One.
Just watch Hamilton on Disney Plus. Like, it's just a better time.
Yeah.